Hey, this is my assignment 5 for graphics. So the first question was the skybox, and all I had to do for this was in Model Tools create a new skybox model. And then I had to reverse their indices, so change the winding to be inside out so that the faces are facing the inside of the cube, and then set the UVs appropriately because the image was 4 cells by 3 cells instead of 4 by 4 like some of the other images were. Same verts and tries, but you can see here the UVs had to be set as thirds, which causes some inaccuracies, but it's the best fit that I can get. So you'll still see some seams like here in the corners, but for the most part it looks pretty solid, I'd say. And you can't really tell if you're not looking, so there you go. And that was just simply changing the indices. And then for question 2, this is my terrain, so first I'll demonstrate the HM test 16 using it as a height map and a texture. I'm passing in the width as 16, so it's a 16 by 16 terrain with 5 as the height. And you'll see that the T, E, S, and T are all sticking out because it's using the height map and the texture. If I change this to something like more reasonable, like 256, using the sandgrass texture and HM test, it'll look more like regular terrain. The first two parameters, 10 and 10, are the repeat UVs, so how many times it'll repeat, 10 across and 10 vertically. So you'll see it looked pretty good as 10 by 10. If I reduce this to something like 1 and 1, it'll just repeat the texture once, so it'll spread it across the entire terrain, and it'll look a lot blurrier and bigger. And then, of course, likewise, if I change this to something absurd like 55, you'll see a smaller repeating pattern because it's more visible. And then right now I'll get into how it's created. Yeah, so there you go. As for how it's created, I have the terrain model. The width, the number of verts is just the width times the width, since it's going to be a square terrain anyway. Number of triangles is width minus 1 times width minus 1 times 2. Since the number of cells is 1 less than the verts, and then times 2 for 2 triangles. I have some offset so that my grid can start at position 0. I have the cell size in case I want to increase the size of an individual cell or square. And then I have the position of the UVs, which are set to 1 divided by the cell amount, so that I know where to set them when I create my vertices. I have a nested for loop where I cast, well, I'll skip the height map stuff for now, but I set the index to the index times the size of the cell plus that offset that I was talking about. That's my x value. For y is where I do the calculation for height, and z is the negative index of I times the cell size plus the offset, which again gets me that nice grid pattern on 0, 0. And the UVs I pass in are the index of that vertex times that float d that I told you calculated by passing in 1 divided by the cell, and then multiplying it by the repeat u. Same thing over here with the v. And then for the height map, actually for the indices first, there's just a nested for loop of the number of cells and number of cells basically in either direction. And this is how I set my windings using the indices and the width to get the proper location of the triangles in the vertex list. For the height map, I just use what you had here for getting the pixel at 3.5, but instead it'll get the pixel at every position because as a nested for loop it'll go through each index. So 0, 0, 0, 1 all the way until however many pixels there are. Or vertices, sorry. And each vertex will be assigned a y value of that position in the pixel of that in that position of the height map's pixel. So passing the indices, I have it as a float divided by 255 because if the value is 0 to 255, I want to get the percentage of that value. And then to set it to the height that I want, I just multiply it by the height value that's passed in. Otherwise it would be too minimal. It wouldn't be noticeable if the height was like 0 point something. So you multiply it by this factor, and then you'll see that here the hills are pretty normal, but if I go back to here and change my height to something like 55, you'll see that the hills get a lot more dramatic. And then likewise, if I decrease it to some smaller number, like 1, I'm assuming this is just going to create a flat plane. So I'll try to get a relatively small number where I can get at least some bumps. Maybe like 15. And then you'll just see the slight raising of the terrain. Yeah, that's pretty much how I got that working. I can show wireframe too if you want to see the actual triangles, but nothing really changes. And then yeah, that's what I got for this week, both questions. So thanks for watching.